So tell us about this. You get the call. What is the process by which you are informed by the President of the United States that you are now part of his defense team for the impeachment trial?
Well, I've actually been working with the White House counsel since mid-December on the preparation for the Senate impeachment trial. I mean, right after the House took its fateful sham impeachment vote, single-party impeachment vote for the first time in American history, we knew that this would be a pivotal, historic thing. And so I had been meeting over at the White House with Pat Cipollone and his staff, working out the oral arguments, working on the brief that they filed, and generally preparing for this thing. And so until probably 2 weeks ago, I had been planning actually to make the constitutional arguments in the Senate. I mean, I had been assigned that. So over the Christmas holiday, while everybody else was having a great time, I was preparing for trial. But they've done a shuffle. We added a few to the team. Alan Dershowitz is going to do the constitutional argument, I think, in much of the Senate trial now, which is I'm delighted by because he's a great scholar. And I will be in whatever role the president asked me to serve. So delighted to be on the team. We're going to have a conference call in about an hour to make the final assignments of responsibilities. And I just, as I said to the president myself just a few days ago, put me in, coach. I'm ready. Whatever you want me to do.
We're hearing you're going to be like the media contact. Is that because you're such a pretty boy?
It's a very low bar in Washington, Aaron, as you know. No, I don't know. I've been going out into the lion's den for weeks in CNN, MSNBC, and the more left-leaning media outlets to share the law and the facts, because we don't have anything to hide from here, and we're very confident in the president's case. And I don't know, maybe that's been noticed, so it looks like I'm going to have a lot more of those assignments here in the next couple of weeks, and happy to do it.
As the beginning of the trial approaches, let's talk a little bit about Mitch McConnell, who will basically be in charge of the whole thing, right? What kind of meetings are going on, if any, between the president's legal team and McConnell?
Well, he made what became a controversial statement several weeks back, saying that he was going to coordinate closely with the White House counsel. What he meant by that was the logistics, which is the precedent for this. I mean, when during the Clinton impeachment trial proceedings, the Clinton White House worked closely with the Senate leaders at that time to decide the length of the trial and the logistics and all of the rest. And so they've done that, but they've worked with both sides. It looks like you'll have 2 days, effectively 24 hours, broken into 12-hour segments for each side to put on their case. They call it, opening statements, but it's basically the whole case for each side. And then there'll be a period of time for senators to ask questions, and they do that in writing through the Chief Justice who presides over the trial. And then at that point, there'll be a decision, I think, about what witnesses may be called and all the rest. So
that was going to be my next question. There is this controversy about that the Democrats want to call more witnesses, but there is nothing constitutionally, at least from what I understand, that calls for that. That was their job on the House side, right?
It was, and that's the pretty simple answer to their request now. They did a rush job. They put together a paltry, weak little record, and the reason they did it, remember, is because they had a predetermined political outcome. I mean, you have to remember that 95 House Democrats voted to impeach Donald Trump before he ever had a phone call with Ukraine's President Zelensky in July of last year. They did it way before that. 17 out of the 24 Democrats who serve on the House Judiciary Committee, my committee, had already voted to impeach Donald Trump before the July 25th phone call. So there wasn't even a pretense of objectivity or that they were concerned about this particular issue. They'd already made their mind up about it. And so because of that, they rushed it. They told their base they'd impeach him by Christmas. That was their famous quote. And they did it. The problem is they were in such a rush, they didn't put their case together, and it's not the job of the Senate to do that. And so I think Leader McConnell gets that. I don't think they're going to let this turn into a circus.
Mike, I hate to say this to you, but I'm gonna. I think 90% of Americans don't give a rip about any of this. We want you guys to go do work, go lower our drug prices, go improve our schools, go do the things that matter to us. You know, when we get into the weeds about all the minutia of all this, we're tuning out. We don't give a rip. Are you hearing that too?
No, that's right. It's justifiable. And when you say that, I want to say a hearty amen. I mean, we've been jumping up and down screaming about this for the last year. The Democrat majority in the House almost literally shut down the business of the House over this impeachment quest. And there are so many important issues, and the three of us have talked about it many times over the last year. Things we have to get done. We must get done for the country, and we can't because we're mired in this mess. And I think the people have had enough of it, and I'm delighted by that outrage. I hope they tune out. I hope nobody watches us deliver these arguments.
So wait then. After this impeachment trial is over,
they're going to try.
Are they going to leave him alone and let's govern now, or are we going to just have another episode? And I'm just so tired of it.
We all are, and I'm afraid the answer is no. I think that they loathe Donald Trump so much that they cannot see the extraordinary results of this presidency. And they're going to come after him. They'll go after him the day after this impeachment trial. They'll drum up something else. They'll go all the way into the election cycle. But that's why elections have consequences. And if the American people do not deliver the Republicans the majority again in the House, this thing is going to get worse and worse. And I fear what they will do with that power if they have another 4 years. I mean, the Democrats in the House.
One more quick procedural question, if you will, and I'd read pros and cons, yeses and nos on this one. Do the Republicans on the Senate side, and you can explain a little bit, have the votes for a dismissal? How exactly does that work, and could that happen?
It could. I mean, a dismissal is a procedural strategy that would say, well, once the case is presented, you just make a motion to dispense of it. It's so weak. There's such a lack of evidence. It's such a joke that it doesn't even merit the time of the Senate to deliberate over it anymore. And that's one kind of school of thought, one strategy, one theory. A lot of people want us to do that. There's a whole other group that say, no, let them put on everything they want. Let them, to use a biblical reference like Elijah up on the mountaintop of the 450 prophets of Baal, let them gnash their teeth and rip their clothes and do whatever they want. And then make a motion for acquittal, a full acquittal, which I think at the end of the day, once all this is done, would almost have to be bipartisan. I think there's at least a couple of, maybe 3 or 4 Democrats who are in moderate districts and states who would have to vote for acquittal.
Is that a majority vote? Pardon me. Is that a majority vote?
Yeah, it's a majority vote.
Okay.
And I think that could happen.